Welcome to, or welcome back to, the Agatha May Detective Agency. I'm Agatha May, and in this episode, we're looking at the preachin' pair of self-proclaimed prognosticators named Joseph and Lynette Dutton. But before we get started, I want to thank Donna, Dr. Mama, Jessica, and Karen for the super thanks. I appreciate it so much. Also, I was asked if I had a P.O. box, and I do. I have added the address to my channel description, and I will post it below in the video description. The Duttons came to my attention when I was grappling with the story of our favorite idiot, Reginald Wayne Miller. Joseph's father helped Wayne start his very first college. Well, isn't that fun? There are rumors that the Duttons have been giving money to John Paul, and while they are connected to Wayne, I'm not sure they have anything to do with John Paul. They definitely don't seem like people he'd be friends with. I think he and Joseph would clash because they'd both be fighting to get all the attention in the room. The reason I'm talking about the Duttons is because I think they're frauds. Joseph describes himself as a media mogul and a husband, father, and pappy of 2 grandbabies. Lynette describes herself as phenomenal. Their humility is so refreshing, isn't it? Among other endeavors, Joe and Lynette are co-pastors at the King's House Church in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Pappy Joe was born in 1971 to Reverend James L. and Earlene Peterman Dutton in Hartsville, South Carolina, only he was probably just Joey then, not Pappy. Joey graduated from Hartsville High School in South Carolina in 1990 and has been preaching since the age of 14. I don't think Joe actually had his own church at the age of 14. I think, being the son of the pastor, he was probably able to preach once in a while. But Joey likes to make things sound different than what they actually are. According to Joe, he doesn't have just 1 doctorate. No, this little go-getter has 2 doctorate degrees in divinity. Now you're probably thinking that he must have spent a lot of time in school, right? Actually, he bought 1 degree from none other than Wayne Miller, who hands out doctorates like cigars at the birth of quintuplets. But what about his 2nd degree from Tabernacle Bible College and Seminary in Tampa? I'll bet that took a lot of sweating over the old books. Nope, it didn't. According to the college's website, you can get class credits for life experience. You don't have to crack open a single book. Just have the right kind of life experience, I guess, and ta-da, you have a doctorate. Joey's wife, Lynette Fisher, entered the world just 6 months before Pappy Joe did, but she was born to different parents, which was probably a relief all around. She was born to Roy and Gloria Fisher in Green Bay, Wisconsin, but the Fishers left the land of beer and cheese to head to South Carolina. Lynette graduated from Midland Valley High School in Langley, South Carolina, where her father owned a construction company, and her mother was a pastor at Faith Tabernacle of Belvedere. Well, how progressive. Lynn and Joey got married in 1991, and it's been wedded bliss ever since. I actually don't believe that last part, but we'll get to that later. Just like her hubby, Lynn also went to the Wayne Miller School of Mediocrity and paid for a phony baloney doctorate degree. After getting married, the Duttons loaded up their covered wagon and forded the Savannah River to make a new home in Evans, Georgia. Joe and Lynette were associate pastors at New Covenant Christian Center of Augusta, where Joe's brother Jim Jr. was pastor. Joe also tried his hand at owning a lawn service company, but that only lasted a few years. Our daring duo stuck around Georgia until the Chattanooga Choo-Choo started whistling their names. So in 2010, it was off to Tennessee, where they founded Dominion Life Church. After only a year, the Duttons decided that they'd been mistaken and they were really supposed to be in Carrollton, Texas. They claim they worked in ministry for T.D. Jakes at the Potter's House in Dallas, but they don't say what they did there. Maybe lawn maintenance. That endeavor lasted less than a year, and they moved to Forest City, North Carolina in 2012. As a side note, T.D. Jakes has found himself dropped into the Sean Diddy Combs scandal after allegations were made, with alleged proof, that he attended sex parties held by Diddy. Joe and Lynn became pastors of New Harvest Church in Forest City. It was an established church, but I guess the former pastor decided he'd had enough of that town and probably moved somewhere exotic like Charlotte. The Duttons changed the name to Dominion Harvest Ministries, and they still use that name as an umbrella organization. They renamed the church to the Epicenter Church because Joey is just the kind of schmuck that thinks his church is the center of everything. The Duttons then started a church in Myrtle Beach that was meant to be a second location of the Epicenter Church, so there could be two centers of everything, I guess. But the church in North Carolina died a mysterious death, and the church in Myrtle Beach became the King's House. Before we get started on what the Duttons are up to these days, let me warn you that if you go have a look at any of their websites, your eyes will be very sad. All 6 of their websites are graphic tragedies. You know the tourist attraction flyers that are handed out in gas station parking lots that are advertising an all-you-can-eat buffet with a buy-one-get-one-free coupon attached, and the restaurant has a Wayne Newton tribute band and some guy named Larry that walks around performing bad magic tricks at every table, and they promise that the restaurant has a view of Mount Rushmore, but fail to mention that it's the backside of Mount Rushmore. And there are also other advertisements along the bottom of the flyer for various random businesses that you'll never need while on vacation, like a cable installation company and a rock quarry. That's exactly what their websites look like. The King's House Church is located in a 2,400 square foot storefront in a shopping center in Myrtle Beach, right next door to a consignment shop. Well, that does sound fit for a king. I wandered over to their events page to see what these two were up to and found an advertisement for Kingdom Quake 23, and I thought that sounded like quite the affair. Unfortunately, the 23 doesn't mean it was the 23rd occasion of the event, but it was actually held in 2023. I've discovered that the Duttons are exceptionally bad at keeping any of their websites up to date. I can't find a single event advertised that hasn't already happened. The Duttons started their own television station in 2018 named Dominion TV. Their studios are in the same 2,400 square foot storefront as the church. Well, there's a lot happening in that space. No worries, though, because in 2022, the church bought property identified as Lot 20 in Myrtle Beach so they could build a mogul-worthy studio. Supposedly, they've been approved for a $1.2 million loan, but they need $150,000 to close. So they've recently had a fundraiser. The money was needed by the closing date of June 25th. But then Joe let everyone know that the bank moved the closing to June 28th. On July 3rd, Joey posted a video that he went to sign on the loan, but the crazy builder hadn't gotten a bond, so they had to postpone the closing again until July 9th. Darn the bad luck. He then disclosed that they'd only raised $25,000 of the $150,000 needed. On July 9th, Joey let everyone know that the closing didn't happen again because the closing attorney was out with a stomach virus. Can you even believe that these things keep happening? Who knows what'll happen next? Will the bank burst into flames? Will Joey contract spontaneous amnesia? Maybe the loan officer's legs are just going to fall off. I'm sure the closing isn't being put off because Joe and Lynette don't have the money. Also, Joe and Lynette, I checked and you're delinquent on your property tax payment for Lot 20. I just thought you should know. The Duttons are so proud of their church and television studio space that they used the photo from Google Maps and superimposed their logo over the photo to make it kind of look like there's a sign on the building. That is so classy. In 2017, the Duttons installed cameras at Solid Rock Church so they could live stream and record for their future television show. Did that show ever become a reality? One thing that the Dutton duo is good at is making sure you have multiple ways to give them money. Almost every page on every one of their websites has a donate button or 2 or 5 on it somewhere. They even have fun ways to give money, like being a Kingdom collaborator. What exactly is a Kingdom collaborator? No one knows. There isn't a speck of information on what they are, other than there are 3 levels that go from $99 a year to $329 a year. But there is zero information on what the memberships consist of. They're just memberships. I happened to check Lynette's Facebook page after writing this, and she actually posted a list of what each level includes. Do you think she can see into my brain? The $99 and the $329 levels both include a half-page and full-page ad, respectively, in the Duttons magazine, Dominion Life. You can get a subscription to their magazine for only $80 a year for 4 whole magazines. What's odd is that the website for their magazine shows that the latest edition is from the 4th quarter of 2022. Are they trying to sell ads so they can print another magazine edition? Or are they promising things they can't fulfill? The $329 level also allows you to speak at one of their networking events. Now, usually speakers get paid to speak, but the Duttons have just turned that idea backwards, inside out, and upside down, and they make the speakers pay them. The Duttons also offer mentoring, whether it's media mentoring through the television station, personal mentoring with Joe, or having Lynette as your life coach. You're sure to get your money's worth. I'm just kidding. You'd do better asking a magic 8-ball what to do with your life. The Duttons love getting money so much, they even put their Cash App cash tags on posts about their birthdays so people can bless them. Along with describing herself as phenomenal, Lynette likes to talk up her previous jobs to make them sound more important than they were. For instance, she says she worked with a company instead of for a company. She worked with Aflac. She worked with Estee Lauder, implying she was in some sort of collaboration or contract with them. Come on, Lynette. Just admit you sold insurance for Aflac and worked behind the Estee Lauder counter at your local Macy's. She also insists on mentioning every chance she gets that some of the companies she worked for are Fortune 500 companies. Well, Lynette is certainly a blazing star in the corporate world. Except that everyone who works at Walmart works for not just a Fortune 500 company, but the #1 Fortune 500 company. I somehow doubt that Lynette thinks that a Walmart door greeter is in the same class as she is, though. How about waste management workers, Lynn? They're a Fortune 500 company, too. The truth is, no one cares that you've worked for a Fortune 500 company, and you mentioning it just makes you sound like a vain nitwit. Lynette also claims that she's won many awards, including the prestigious $1 Million Sales Rolex Club. Well, that sounds super exclusive, and also a little bit like something a 10-year-old would make up when he's playing businessman. I hadn't heard of the $1 Million Sales Rolex Club before, so I searched Google for that exact phrase, and there is only one webpage on the entire internet that mentions it. And guess whose it is? That's right, it's Lynette's. That club is way more exclusive than I thought. But Lynette is an amateur in hubris compared to Joey. He is the engineer and the conductor on the ego train. So you can have Pappy Joe come and speak at your church or revival or make an appearance at your barn dance. Now, he doesn't specifically mention a barn dance, but I don't think he'd turn it down if the price was right. But old Pappy has some requirements before he'll agree to stop by your shindig. And these requirements are taken directly from his website. Dr. Dutton does not charge or set a price on his ministry assignments. When it comes to his time of ministry with you, whether small or large settings, we simply ask you do your very best, as you know Dr. D will be giving you not just a sermon, but over 35 years of an old well that he has kept pure. Yes, Joey has the purest 35-year-old artisan well. It is pristine, the cleanest. Nary a speck of dust has ever entered his well. It is so unsoiled it actually repels impurities for up to 30 miles. Joey's well is the finest in all the land. It's bacteria-free, non-GMO, gluten-free, and has no preservatives. It is so clean you can see all the way to the bottom. To be honest, I'm not even sure what I'm talking about. If your meeting is over 50 miles from Dr. Dutton's home in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, a hotel room and travel expenses are required. Travel expenses could include a rental car if needed. Dr. Dutton will not stay in someone's spare bedroom. Well, I should think not. Spare rooms are not meant for people who have purchased 2 doctorate degrees. Spare rooms are for spare people. Joseph Howard Dutton is not a spare person. Have these people not heard of his pristine well? The nerve of this man to think he's above staying in someone's guest bedroom and to not be grateful that someone would be gracious enough to open their home to him is absolutely repugnant. Ministry engagements 3 or 4 hours away from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, will require the purchase of airline tickets. Our office will purchase those in advance and send you the receipt, which will need to be paid in full prior to Dr. Dutton's engagement with your ministry event. Well, we can't have Dr. D's backside getting sore from too much driving. He just can't preach with an achy tush. All hotel expense must be paid in full prior to Dr. Dutton's arrival, including leaving a card on file for the incidentals at the front desk. I know this man is not making the churches he's visiting leave a credit card on file for his incidentals. And that is so vague. What are his incidentals? Oops, forgot my toothbrush. Darn it, I forgot my suit. Oh my goodness, I don't have any shoes. How silly of me. I forgot my Bugatti watch. Dr. Dutton's preferred hotel groups are 1. Marriott brand, 2. Hilton brand. Well, of course they are. Pappy Joe can't sleep in a slummy comfort inn because, unlike Jesus, Joey was not born in a barn. Please be sure to attach our ministry's hotel group members points number to the room. This number will be provided to you at the time of confirmation. So not only do you have to foot the bill for Joey's hotel room and incidentals at the Marriott or Hilton, you can't even earn the points for the stay you're paying for. Preferred room, king suite on a higher floor. You know, I thought Reggie Miller tried my patience, but this man's audacity absolutely dwarfs Reggie's. Joseph, you are the store-brand version of Guy Fieri, you pompous bag of bunk, so you might want to rein in that ego just a bit. There are times that Dr. Dutton will travel with an assistant. If that's the case with your ministry engagement, a separate room will also need to be provided. Who's the assistant? What is his or her name? Is the room an adjoining one? Do you two stay up late braiding each other's hair and playing truth or dare? A 6 or 8 foot table will need to be provided for Dr. Dutton's books and resource products. Resources may be mailed to your office prior to ministry engagement. An inventory list will be provided with that shipment. Now, I don't know what his resource products are, but this man has written 1 book. Throw a few books on a card table and keep the extras in a box underneath. Do you have tablecloth requirements too, Joe? Does the fabric have to be woven from the downy underbelly tuft from an albino Siberian mountain goat? A list of Dr. Dutton's dietary restrictions and preferences will be sent to you upon acceptance of an invitation. His preferences are probably something like an antipasto platter made of pedigreed heirloom tomatoes that have been rinsed with sparkling mineral water, then sliced into exactly 1 millimeter medallions that are nestled gently onto a nest of hydroponic organic oak leaf lettuce, surrounded by Picholine olives that are of uniform size, with mozzarella that is handmade tableside in his hotel room, served with flakes of truffles and soft folds of prosciutto that was made from the pig who found the truffles. I'll bet when Joey's at home, he's throwing back moon pies, pizza rolls, and crackers with spray cheese and washing it all down with Diet Shasta Cola. This man is preaching out of a shopping center storefront and thinks he deserves the red carpet treatment. He doesn't even deserve the throw rug treatment. I looked through Lynette's Facebook page, trying to get a timeline of their life, and wow, was that ever a journey. The things that Joe Dutton posts on his wife's page are so not appropriate for a professional page, much less someone who is supposed to be a minister. Both of their pages are their public figure pages, so they use them to talk about their church and television station. But that doesn't stop Joe from making posts on Lynette's page to tell her things like, "You looked good enough to keep home this morning," and also to tell her, "I think you're sexy." Joe, you used the wrong "your." And I cannot tell you how many times this man posts that he loves it when she calls him Big Papa. It is so over the top that I question its authenticity. I've noticed in their photos together, it looks like they don't even know each other, that they were just hired to model for the photo shoot. And this does not look like a kiss between a passionate couple. Then I found this photo of them when they were younger, and, well, this photo of Joseph might be the answer to why their relationship doesn't seem quite bona fide. I've also thumbed through the Duttons' other social media accounts. Their public figure pages on Facebook get the most interaction, but the rest of their accounts have pretty dismal numbers. I think their entire online and more than likely in-person persona is a facade. There are a lot of words and bright colors and videos and photos and things that move and flash and multiple projects, and there's a pretense at being busy and importance, and the ostentatiousness of it all is what makes it suspect. They post ridiculous photos to get attention, but really these pictures just make me question whether or not they're entirely sane. Lynette shared this photo of the wardrobe she was going to be wearing for a photo shoot. Showing Chanel and Gucci bags you're using in a photo shoot for your nonprofit is tacky to begin with. But when they're fake bags, it's even worse. Everything surrounding the Duttons seems to be as counterfeit as that Chanel bag. They both have doctorate degrees from a degree mill, or should I say a degree miller. Lynette has to pretend she had fabulously influential and successful careers, and Broseph is a make-believe media mogul. They put fake signs on photos of their church/studio. Neither of them have much on their criminal record that I can find, just a couple of traffic violations. But I did find some collection judgments against them. So I don't think that they are crime lords of any kind, but I do think they're grifters. I think they stay in a place and they put on their show and flash their empty smiles and dance for the cameras until the money dries up, and then they move along. They like to say they're church planners, but none of their churches stayed in the ground. They've all been pulled up, and remnants of them are dragged on to the next place on their agenda. I don't know how long the Nothing Duttons are going to last in Myrtle Beach. They've owned the television station since 2018, but they are still producing from a storefront. Their social media accounts are mediocre. Their magazine is dead. There's nothing on their itinerary. They can't raise the money to build their studio. I think the only reason their studio is still afloat is that there are people who want to be on television for reasons of vanity above anything else. Maybe soon it will be time for the Duttons to load up the wagon and move on yet again. There's another circus to perform in another city, another state. They will write out a new list of the same old ideas and plans and schemes, slip on their masks, and dance. Ally Carter wrote in Uncommon Criminals, "Even the longest con was never more than an assortment of moments that were in themselves very, very short." Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, comment, like, and share, as that helps my channel grow. Until next time, stay safe and be happy.